Hey folks, welcome to the live stream. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Who could have guessed? Some interesting points on Bitcoin today. Just let me load up my chart here. I was looking at Link earlier today. Let's see. There we are. Nice. Yeah, slight drawdown today. We'll talk about why. We crossed the relevant pivots for short-term mean reversion on this chart, and we're going to load them up here shortly. Just give them a second. Okay, right? Our longest overexpanded period over here was roughly 30. So you're going to see that 30 band automatically load up in just a second, and we'll point out what happened. And it's also why this is going to be a pretty boring live stream, because, well, we are right on top of the benchmarks we need to be on top of, and that doesn't make for good trading. All right, so we also have a 60 band. We're going to load that up, in addition to a 280 band. Right, so those were our previous values, and we're all going to see how they interact today. All right, 60. And what do we have here? 280. Let's take a look, guys. It's quite a few bands. We're going to hide the 280 because, or are we? It seemed to actually expand a little bit further to around 300 at this location. So I'm actually going to change the settings because that did continue to increase. I'm going to do 295, try to round it off a bit. Okay, that's close enough. Very nice. So we're still going to get interaction with the edges of the 280 band during this period of compression. While that happens, I would not expect price to actually leave these bands, though we are reading below the 0.7 value, so technically this has been sufficient compression since the previous uptrend. All right, since previously on this 1 hour chart, we used this edge right here consistently as a support. And finally, when we broke through, we reverted to that mean. And then as soon as we broke down, I decided to tether out of Bitcoin because I expect a reversion to the weekly 200 moving average. Now we did have this little upward thrust, and looking at our blue band here, we did cross that pivot for mean reversion, and we did revert to that relative mean, right? So at this location, right, price runs down to the pink moving average. And that's exactly what happened at this location. That would have been a very nice scalp. I was asleep. So, too bad on that. And now we're sitting directly on top of that band, I guess for the remainder of the day. We're just going to see compression as defined by that band, which is going to be pretty boring for the duration of the compression. I anticipate just lateral trading as defined by that band, again, as long as we have a reading above the 0.7 value. So, really, this Bitcoin chart is not going to do much for us today. I am not willing to make any predictions. One of the most important parts of trading is knowing when not to have an opinion. This is one of the times. Now, on a more macro time frame, I would still be expecting reversion to the weekly 200, right? Since as defined by the daily chart, we still are technically in a state of trending. And this means a downward trend continues, right? And our long-term pivot for this is going to be above the 5,000 pivot here, right? And actually, we would need to actually look at this band here. It's going to be roughly the 200, and this is close enough to the 200. It's going to provide resistance right through there, okay? So this pivot that's happening here is still going to provide resistance. From the daily perspective, sure, we could pop up, touch the 50 moving average on the daily chart. That's a perfect possibility, but I still respect that secondary rejection down to this here. Now, if that doesn't play out, our plan B is above this pivot, we are going to revert to its relative mean above the 6,000 mark. And quite honestly, I find that a little bit too optimistic. So, given what we're seeing here, I would anticipate just continued sideways trending at the moment, guys. And sideways as defined by the daily chart. It's very important to note. If we do pop over on the 4-hour, I have no idea which way this will break right now. Up or down, it could be either. Again, long-term target, still the weekly 200, and we are sitting directly on top of the required pivots on the 1-hour chart. So this is going to be a boring live stream since I have no commitment to direction here. I'm going to load up the YouTube video on my phone so I can go ahead and check the comments here. One moment, my friends. Beautiful. Bull flag. Yes, Swedish trucking. We've got a bull flag. Everything is a bull flag. Bitcoin's on a bull flag. The weekly chart will draw a bull flag on Bitcoin. How's that feel? Dead Shark is still kind of sick. I'm on the back end. Pretty good enough. Babar says, I mean the price of coins on the right side of the screen. Make it a bit more clear so that we can see prices when you say 200 MA and 500 MA and so on, please. That's going to be on your end, mate. Just increase the video quality. I'm streaming above 1080p, so it's really up to you to adjust your video settings to, well, get that. Change it to 1440p, would you? That is one of your video options. Get your comments in, and then take a look at the rest of this here. I guess for coins on my watch list, well, I don't really have any at this moment. I'm tethered out, guys. I'm waiting for us to trend down to the weekly 200. I guess I can get a call up in the near future. We'll take a look at XRP since we talked about it yesterday. One moment, folks. Okay. Right, we did anticipate their trend down to the 450 moving average here. We'll load that up for us. 1 second, folks. And then we'll talk about our take profits as defined by that pivot. Right, because we're not going to trend above the top edge of the 450 band as defined by this plume right here. So we're drawing the 450 for us. We'll take a look at that looks like. Would you look at that? Trading laterally as defined by the 450 band, as long as the 450 band is reading above the 0.7 value. So what this means is we retraced down to the 450 moving average, bounced exactly on the 450 moving average before bouncing up, testing the top edge of the band, and now we're getting lateral trading as defined by the 450 band. That is just gorgeous. This is a nice trading area. Okay, if you ever want to layer up some shorts up in this range here, well, that's definitely a possibility for you. And this providing support isn't a sure thing, though we will draw in that support line there. And I am just expecting us to trade laterally between these 2 points for the coming week. So if you are interested in scalping this range, I very much recommend doing so. Just load a 450 band on your chart on the 1 hour time frame, and you're going to be well off for scalping this. Okay. And a link is green today, so we'll take a look at that. Well, let's see what the retracement value on this chart is as well. So I'm curious how this played out. Don Chinner says, can you let us know what kind of support you'll be giving to the indicator for subscribers? Is the course the only way to learn how to use them? That's a pretty good question. A Cat with Charts will be making instructional videos that are about 5 to 10 minutes long. That's really going to be more on how to adjust their settings and how to load them onto your chart rather than their actual in-depth application. At the moment, the only way to actually get in-depth knowledge on how to use my indicators will be the course. The recording the course with is on vacation, so I'm going to ask him if that's on vacation, as in he has more time to record more lessons, or he has less time to record lessons. So as far as that goes, I actually have no idea. Oh, look it. My band finally loaded. Time to stop talking about that. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Right, as soon as we re-enter this band, it was a really sloppy chart, I'll be honest. It is like all this high price volatility would made for really poor trading. But lo and behold, the rules stay true. It's really funny about this strategy. You can get some really shitty trading in based on the way this interacts, right? Like as soon as we enter the blue band, we expect price to revert to the pink mean. But I mean, look at this. You would have gotten stopped out, and you could have tried to re-enter. You would have gotten stopped out. But guess what happens eventually, guys? It always happens. Damn be the day where it doesn't. Price reverts to the pink mean and bounces off of it. Who could have guessed? Right, and now we're going to trade laterally as defined by this. So I guess our top edge of this band here is going to provide resistance. So I guess you could not expect Link to get up above 8,100. Okay, guys? Michael Hirsch TradingView Access is already up. I went ahead and linked it in the announcements. If you go ahead and pop over right here for indicator descriptions, subscriptions, are live. You just go ahead and follow this link here, and that will take you to the area where you can purchase subscriptions to the indicators I'm using. Okay? Although they're advanced application, I very do recommend taking the lessons first, as well, it would take quite some time. I mean, I learned how to use 3D Wave PM by playing with it for dozens of hours, but you know, if you want to shortcut that process, take my lessons. Yes, Great Day says click the like button. I very much endorse that sentiment. It's going to be very helpful if you do that. I'm going to keep this a short live stream today. I have things to do. So I'm going to look at one last chart. We're going to look at Ethereum BTC. I'm going to be on my way. Nice short to the point, okay? Here we go. Okay. It's above the overexpansion on the 1 hour chart. So we got to pop to the 4 hour. Ethereum is still technically in the state of trending, okay? That's really good news for all you people in Ethereum. We're going to take a look at the price of 160, and we can actually just hide our other bands at the moment to best capture this, right? There it is. Our retracement pivot was hit right at this location, and now we are in a sustained trend. As far as actually taking profit on this, I just recommend waiting until we're out of the band, but this continued trending is likely. We'll see how it goes. Though, let's zoom out some more, guys. Okay. Because we actually have an overexpansion on a higher time frame, and I'd like to see if that interacts, right? Yeah, guys, this is in a... Wow, holy shit. Hold up. That is a perspective. Pivots for mean reversion implied. Holy shit. Do you see this, guys? That's a 100% gain right there. Yeah, as soon as that actually provides decent entry, I'm very interested in entering this. Very good chart, guys. Keep this on your watch list. We are technically aligned for growth on the 4 hour chart. I would keep an eye on that. And then on the daily chart, it is implied we are going for mean reversion. So this is very nice, my friends. Keep an eye out. All right, folks, that's going to be everything. Very nice to talk with you. I will talk to y'all later. Like and subscribe.